other body symptoms. So we see hypercalcemia with liberation of calcium from the bone. I'll talk to you more, show you more about how the myeloma eats away at the bone and liberates the calcium. Renal dysfunction from the monoclonal protein. We can see anemia through cytokine effects and displacement from the bone marrow. And critically, we can see lytic bone lesions. These are holes in the bone. So you can roughly come up
We're also reevaluating the possibility of proposing to the university a bridge professorship in water security. Bridge professorships are relatively new at Tufts, where the faculty member truly sits in two schools. It's not a primary and a secondary appointment. They're truly joint faculty. It's called a bridge. And Dean Stavridis and myself really believe that water is a crucially important issue, both for security, international law, and also health and sustainability. And so we have previously proposed, and we're thinking of reproposing, a new bridge professorship with Fletcher in water security. And then a lot of other work is going on, but as just one example, the New Entry Sustainable Farming Project is hosting a conference in December, the Community Food Systems Conference, with keynote speaker Winona LaDuke, who's a award-winning environmentalist and political activist. Under discovery and entrepreneurship, which is both about kind of fundamental research discovery, but also being entrepreneurial. And again, entrepreneurship to me means bringing together a new idea with new people and new capital to accomplish something. So entrepreneurship doesn't mean a for-profit business. Entrepreneurship means doing something new with your ideas, human capital, and other capital. We launched our entrepreneurship program for students last week, and we had phenomenal panel members, and we're growing our circle of advisors who are going to be available for mentorship, and we really have some exciting ideas about entrepreneurship. Dennis Steinler has joined the school officially as a faculty member. He's been a leading H&RCA scientist for, I think, a year and a half or a couple of years now, and has joined our school as a full professor. And he's going to be directing kind of the co-curricular experiences of students, the experiences outside the classroom, workshops, mentoring, competitions, and we're really excited about Dennis. He's started 3 companies already and really thinks very entrepreneurially. And so some of the key initiatives, we launched a graduate course last year, which is very popular. We also had it in the summer. It's going to be given again in spring of 2018. How many students are thinking of taking the entrepreneurship course? About 10 or 15. That's great. We're also going to launch an online certificate program, or we have launched an online certificate program thinking about entrepreneurship for people who can't come and be here full time. We're going to develop over this coming year interactive workshops, bringing in social, political, business entrepreneurs that focus on different aspects of getting your idea to turn to life. I was at a conference in DC yesterday, and I met some interesting people who the founders of Sweet Greens. I don't know if people have heard of Sweet Greens, Empty Table, Health Warrior, which does all the chia seed bars, right? And which is the biggest chia seed producer in the country now. And all of them are very excited and linking to the entrepreneurship program. And all of them are people who have identified a need for healthier food available to a wider variety of people in the example of Empty Table, and I think would be really interesting for students to talk to. We're going to try to identify internships and funding for internships, mentoring, and then some kind of ideation competition this spring. And so there's different ways to do entrepreneurship competitions. You can ask for fully formed business plans and fully formed business ideas and compare among those. Or you can do a competition for just ideation, just the idea, just what's the concept. And then the winning concepts then go on to try to develop business plans. And so since we're starting, we're going to start with an ideation competition, a food ideation competition, maybe with some themes as well, and some cash prizes for the winners. This will be open Tufts-wide. So it's really not just for the school, but it'll be hosted by our school in collaboration with the Gordon Institute. And then other things I think we want to do with entrepreneurship, so that's the student experiences. We also want to link to accelerators. Accelerators are where new companies go to develop, and there's Mass Challenge here in Boston that we've talked to, FoodX in New York, IndieBio in San Francisco. We're talking to them about linking to them formally. And then ultimately, I have a vision of a physical hub of nutrition and food innovation around our school built here. The same way Silicon Valley started in the 70s and 80s around Stanford, and Kendall Square is the country's hub for biotech innovation around MIT. in 5 or 10 years, physically, we could be the hub for nutrition and food innovation, consistent with our mission. So that's kind of the pie in the sky view, but I think it could happen. Ongoing things for discovery and entrepreneurship related to faculty. So we're soon going to announce a faculty seed funding program that is consistent with our strategic plan priorities to catalyze research. And the 4 areas of research that were identified in the strategic plan for catalyst funding were novel technologies and data science, the science and practice of scale, how do you scale interventions, interdisciplinary, collaborative, and translational science, which is very broad, but bringing together people who haven't worked together, and research focusing on underserved populations. And so we're going to launch a seed funding program that will invite applications from faculty in any of those areas and give seed funding, catalyst funding to faculty for this year to be able to do pilot work or other work that will lead to other projects. And then we are, it says considering, I think we are launching a faculty search for the director of our new division of data sciences. And so nutritional epidemiology is going to become the division of data sciences, which will bring together not just epidemiology, but also all the other quantitative things that happen here and at our faculty base at HNRCA, including genetics, metabolomics, meta-analyses, cost-effectiveness analyses, global demography, and other kinds of work we're doing. So to really bring together all of our quantitative data sciences. Aim 6 is creating and enabling leaders. And so we have done several things in this area. We launched a standing committee, the Social Justice, Inclusion, and Diversity Committee. And this is co-chaired by Sarah Fulta and Kathleen Prada. And many of this committee's objectives are closely tied to themes throughout our strategic plan, increasing diversity of our faculty, students, and staff, not just their physical diversity, but their diversity of views and backgrounds, promote culture changing and enhancing activities in the curriculum and in research and in our public impact work, focused on concepts of social justice, inclusion, and diversity. And I think that those latter 2 points are really important for me. The school's vision of diversity, as brought to us by you, was that diversity is not just about the physical people that are here, but it's about what we do. It's about our courses, it's about our research, it's about how we view the world. And so the committee is working hard and providing recommendations, and we're really excited about that. We also, in terms of creating and enabling leaders, our internship program continues to be very successful. We had 63 students participate in the internship program in 2017. There's now a new Tisch Fellows partnership, which funds students for internships that are broadly related to the aim of active citizenship in New York or DC, and 4 of those were funded this year. 3 interns worked with our Board of Advisors member and our entrepreneurship advisor, Bill Layden, and I think he actually has 3 alums on his staff as full-time employees. So Bill Layden both hires interns and hires them as employees. And we have continued partnership with the World Food Program that provided internships. We're also applying and renewing training grants to NIH. So we have several training grants to NIH we're applying and renewing. And I think Tim is here. I don't know if Tim is here. Tim is leading with, is it with Chris again? I don't remember. Tim. 2 separate ones. Oh, 2 separate ones. So we have 2 separate USDA training grants that we're also applying for. I'm thinking of providing more funding. Ed, is career services mentioned here? Not. So we are, finalizing a plan for improved career services. The Office of Student Affairs has already done a lot over the last 2 years to integrate and make more clear and more readily available career services opportunities. And we just recently reviewed some of the polling data from the student poll, and actually students are much happier with that delivery than they have been, let's say 3 years ago, 2 years ago. So we're getting better, but we're going to announce sometime, I think, before the end of the year, at the end of the calendar year, a plan to even deepen and improve career services further. We are launching a new biostatistical core. Is Yelena here? Hi, Yelena. How many people did you say you identified? 17. So there's 17 people across the school that have master's or PhD level training in quantitative statistics and are staff doing quantitative biostatistical work. 17 people, it's actually pretty remarkable, and yet they're not connected. And so Yelena is connecting them with a new biostatistical core, which is biostatisticians, data managers with data-intensive methods, and putting them together, well, first they can learn from each other. We can use their combined knowledge and information to help students and to help faculty, and also hopefully eventually start to make more stable funding for them, because many of these people, if not all of them, are funded on grants, and so grants ebb and flow, and we have great people. If we can kind of create this core, it's pretty phenomenal actually how much quantitative work we're doing at the school. And then other things under creating and enabling leaders more directly related to faculty. So we launched, it's not listed here, but we've launched and finalized an expectation framework to make kind of faculty expectations transparent and equitable across faculty. We've just very recently, the school faculty have approved a divisional structure. The students may not have heard about this. So the idea of the structure is to create better structures in our school to bring together faculty mentoring and development, faculty strategies, and research strategies. The existing structure at the school has the academic programs that are focused on the curriculum. So FPAN and NCPIC and AFE, right? Those program directors are focused on the curriculum. They're not necessarily focused, their job is not to focus on the faculty or research strategies within those, or on kind of governance at the school and being involved in kind of the school's decision making, right? Their focus is on the programs. And so the new division structure will create 5 new divisions, which the division chairs will continue to have the responsibility for the academic directions of their divisions, but will also now be involved in school governance, in faculty development and mentoring, and in research strategy. And so the 5 divisions are the 5 main academic programs that we have now. So AFE, NCPIC, Data Sciences, BMN, and I'm going to forget one, Thinking Live. Which one did I leave out? FPAN, thank you. FPAN, and so those will be the 5 new divisions. All of the other existing academic programs like MAHA and the dietetics program, the entrepreneurship program, those programs will stay programs. I mean, they're wonderful academic programs, but this is, I think, a great structure to kind of help organize our school and have more faculty structure for support. And then we should also celebrate faculty promotions. So 3 of our faculty were promoted to professor, Andrew Greenberg, Dennis Steinler, Park Wilde. 3 to associate professor, Fang Zhang, Andrew Catley, and Renata Mija. And then to assistant professor, Elizabeth Steit. So we should give them a round of applause. And then I should mention some student-led accomplishments. We could talk about a lot, but the Gershoff Symposium, was really fantastic. And we had great speakers, Ricardo Salvador, Caleb Harper, Yashar Sagai, and Isha Datar. Do we know the theme of the Gershoff Symposium for the coming March? Are any students on the group that are here? Or is it maybe not formed yet? I'm not sure when they start planning. But so the students formed, I think the Gershoff Scholars will develop the next symposium in March, so we're really looking forward to that. It was the 10th year of the Friedman School's Graduate Student Research Conference, and it was very successful. We had abstracts from people all around Boston, I think even outside of Massachusetts. People submitted abstracts and came, so it was a really fantastic event. We also had the Future of Food and Nutrition Conference, and the students organized that and brought in Helena Bottmiller-Evich, who's a very well-respected reporter at Politico. And both the 2018 conferences are now being planned, and Sarah, Aurelia, and Aaron are in contact for that, so really exciting. AIM 7 is public impact, and so we've had 2 hires in this area. Professor Gerald Mand, who's sitting there. Maybe stand up so people can see you. He's a professor of the practice, came from USDA most recently, but has had 20 years in government and academics, involved in tobacco control, organ donation, and most recently food. He led kind of efforts to update and modernize SNAP-Ed, which is the $400 million program to give education to people on the SNAP program. And Jerry has said that he's always done work to help improve the lives of as many people as possible. So it used to be tobacco, and now it's food, and so that's why he's interested in food. And so again, as with Greg Gottlieb, a good time to hire when the administration's turned over. And so he was pretty senior in the Clinton campaign with advising to that. So that's a big loss for DC, but a gain for us that Jerry is with us. And he's helping to lead and think about our public impact activities. And so students that are interested in public impact activities, how science informs policy. His scholarship is how science and evidence should inform policy. Also, we have hired as a senior lecturer, part-time, Corby Kummer, who's a senior food writer for The Atlantic. I don't know if Corby is here. He's not here every day. I don't see Corby, but people may know Corby's writing. He's really a phenomenal writer, and so he has joined our school to teach and do workshops. He did workshops in Gene Goldberg's course. He actually had a course that he wanted to teach this term, but we couldn't get it approved in time and through all the kind of the necessary approvals. And so I don't know, Ed, if you know when he'll be teaching a full course formally. Do we know that yet? Is it going to be in the spring or next fall? Next fall. So he'll teach his full course next fall. But he's also thinking about and working with other faculty at the school and thinking about what would a food journalism program look like within NCBIC, right? What would focusing on, specifically food journalism, food writing, food communication work on? Obviously, Gene Goldberg is a ally in that discussion. The other things that have been happening, again, and some of these could have gone in other sections, but in accomplishments, we had a fantastic food tank. In 2017, investing in discovery, we had 50,000 live stream viewers, 250 attendees. Food Tank was started by Danny Nuremberg, who's a former Tufts alum. And it was so successful that we decided we're going to do that every year. We're going to have a Boston Tufts Food Tank event. And so the next Food Tank Summit is going to be in April 2017. It's not going to be at the school because we have to turn people away because of the size. And so it's going to be at a hotel very close to here. The theme of that, as I mentioned before, is going to be the double burden of hunger and obesity in the US and globally. So I think it's really exciting. Congressman Jim McGovern came and has been very involved with the school. He came to that. He came and spoke at our alumni event. We recently met with him and have talked to him about a series of events over the coming year to talk about food as medicine. He wants to sponsor a bill for Medicare to pay for medically tailored meals when older people are discharged from the hospital. They often get readmitted because they can't cook and they can't eat healthy foods for those few days. And so, that's huge expense. And so why shouldn't Medicare pay for that? I know he's also interested in fruit and vegetable prescriptions. There's a lot of interest if physicians could write fruit and vegetable prescriptions that was actually paid for by health insurance. And so he's very interested in thinking about how we can use the food as medicine theme. And we're talking to several partners about having a series of food as medicine linked events over the next year. The food tank one would be one, talking about kind of the theme food as medicine. We are talking to Partnership for Healthy America, the Milken Institute, and the EAT Foundation in Sweden, and all three of them have expressed interest. And so these events will hopefully grow. We've also talked to Jim McGovern's office about possibly creating a food as medicine caucus in the House, which would include bipartisan senators, representatives that are interested in integrating food into government more obviously than it is now in DC. And so that's really exciting, and that's very early discussions, but his staff so far has said that they've reached out to some Republican colleagues and gotten good interest. And I don't know if Bill Dean is here. Are you here, Bill? Bill, he's not here today. So Bill Dean is leading those discussions. And at the conference in DC 2 nights ago, Cory Booker spoke, Senator Cory Booker, who many people know, actually a classmate of mine from college, and not a good friend, but a classmate of mine from college, a remarkable person. And so I've communicated with him about this theme, and he's interested in hearing more as well. So I think this is something maybe for the year we can sort of, with all the discussions in healthcare reform, and all the discussions going on, food is not being mentioned. And so if we can integrate food into the conversations about disparities, about hunger, about health, I think it would be very positive for our school. And then other things that are going on in the public impact front. So two of our faculty members, Norbert Wilson on the task force and Jerry Mand as the senior policy advisor to the task force, are working with the Bipartisan Policy Center on recommendations to Congress to make SNAP healthier. If we wanted to make SNAP, which is $80 billion a year, if we wanted to make it healthier, what would be recommendations? The Bipartisan Policy Center is a really well-respected organization started by 4 former Senate majority leaders to advise Congress on important issues. And so this task force is led by Bill Frist, former Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist, and it has about 15 members on it, including 2 former Ag Secretaries, Dan Glickman and Ann Veneman, people from the American Enterprise Institute, really great bipartisan group. Norbert Wilson, again, is on the task force, and Jerry is organizing it. Its recommendations will come out in December, maybe. And then the nice thing about the BPC is there won't be Tufts recommendations. There'll be the BPC's recommendations, but Tufts is involved in this. And the nice thing about the BPC is they also have a separate lobbying and advocacy arm, and so they will then work to get Congress to actually, try to make SNAP healthier and implement some of the recommendations. That's exciting. We continue to partner with John Hancock Life Insurance on their Vitality Healthy Food Program, which if you haven't looked up is really interesting. John Hancock realized that more people were dying from poor behavior than anything else on their life insurance programs, and so they did the math and they said if people actually just exercise a little more, don't smoke and eat healthier, they'll live longer, we'll make more money, and we can share that with them. And so they're very upfront about it. They're like, we want you to live longer and have healthier lives, and you'll pay us premiums longer, and we'll give you some of that money back. And it's a very popular program. It's won all kinds of national awards, and it's growing in sort of double or triple digit growth now since they've launched it. And that's unheard of for life insurance. So it's really exciting. And so they give people free Apple Watches, but if you don't get your steps, you have to pay $10 a month back, right? So, and that little $10 a month, people get their steps. They said it's really incredible so that you don't have to pay that $10 to pay your watch back. They actually pay people up to $50 a month for buying healthier foods. John Hancock pays them the cash, $600 a year. A lot of exciting things. And so I think that's a model for how business can help stimulate healthier behavior. And our role in that is to be the trusted voice for credible science on the behavior change side, on the nutrition side, so that the nutrition information they're giving them on what is a healthier diet is actually credible, which I think is really nice. And so as part of that, we get the marathon bibs. Is anybody planning to run? Did anybody apply for the marathon bibs from the school? We usually have 1 or 2 runners, 1 person. So we usually have 1 or 2 runners. It's pretty competitive. Have you heard yet? I think there were like 300 applications within like 2 hours for the 50 bibs. So it's pretty competitive. But if one of our students or any students at Tufts who are running, everybody should support them and support them through, there's going to be a crowd rising page. All of the funds that they generate from, we aim for $10,000 per bib. All of the funds they generate come back to the school. So that's really good for us and good for fundraising. And then I don't think we've talked very much about the Jean Meyer Prize, and so I won't go into too much detail, but John Hancock has funded a prize, the Jean Meyer Prize in Nutrition, Science, and Policy, which we kind of want to be the mini Nobel Prize for achievements in nutrition, science, and policy, both on the science side and the policy side. And so we hope to award it in 2018, and we have a nominating committee and are thinking about top candidates. And then lastly, foundational initiatives. I want to be sure we have time for questions. We've done a lot, finished our space expansion, finished our renovations, organized our budget dramatically. We've added 12,000 square feet of open space, informal meeting areas and lounges, kitchens, offices, workstations. Do any students use the upstairs kitchens or lounges now? I hope so. So good. That's better. We just launched them last year, so please use them. We're looking at all of our classrooms to think about updating and refreshing the classroom spaces, technology needs, and so we're going to work on that this year. And we're looking to kind of develop a long-range strategic plan. People who have been at the school a long time, know or maybe don't know that the way the school budget was done was a bunch of money came in, and you hoped at the end of the year it balanced, and then you just kind of went to the next year. And so we're trying to be a little bit more deliberate and plan and look ahead and see kind of how we can make sure we can do all the things we want to do. in as efficient a way as possible. The university is really entering the late 20th century in marketing, early 21st century in marketing, which is great. So across the entire university, and Tufts knows this, I'm not being critical, it's just something Tufts had not done. Across the whole university, Tufts spent about $100,000 a year in marketing all of the graduate programs. So Fletcher, med school, dental, Cummings, us, engineering, $100,000 a year, and the average of our peer institutions like Hopkins or Cornell or other peer institutions is $100,000 a month. So we were already 1/12 of our our peers, and then the top advertisers like Northeastern is one of the top advertisers. They spend $500,000 a month marketing their graduate programs. So we are way, way, way below that. So we've never really had marketing at the school, and marketing doesn't mean advertising and communication. Marketing means doing data analytics, understanding where students come from, why they come to you, why they, what they're looking for. That's just been done, through kind of word of mouth. And so the university's finally launching a really, I think, robust marketing program. And our school and Ed Kleifkin, is Ed here? Our EAD. Ed's not here. Oh, there he is. Hi, Ed. So Ed Kleifkin has really been a leader, and I've really, promoted this concept at the university, and that's paid off. And the university is using our school in many ways for the beta tests and beta versions of all the different things we're doing. And so that's kind of exciting. And so our major focus is on some of our residential programs that we think have the most growth potential, and the online master's and certificate programs. And then in addition, we're going to do some reviews of existing programs through kind of analytics to see are there ways to refresh and improve those programs through marketing and recruitment. And then I think this is the last slide. Under foundational initiatives, there's of course our advancement, our development, our fundraising. So students may not know, but universities are kind of always raising money. But there's usually periods where there's it's called the quiet period, where universities are raising money from the people they know best, and trying to figure out what are the things that really excite people, and then at the end of that period, which can be kind of 4 or 5 years, they launch an active campaign period, which is usually, again, 5 years long. And so the university has been in the quiet phase of a campaign. The schools, as part of that, has been in the quiet phase of a campaign since I got here. And November 4th at the Museum of Fine Arts, we're going to publicly launch the Tufts-wide university campaign, which I think is called Brighter World. And the school obviously will play a big part of that. And so we're really thinking about and have been working on all of the different things we want to do, which are, you can read in our strategic plan, and who and how we could raise money for those different things. And so we're really excited about that. We've got lots of great support from our advisors, like our Maha alum, Christiana Falcon-Sorrell. She's funded Feinstein Research and Maha scholarships. John Hancock, entrepreneurship scholarship from Bill Layden. Liz Cochran-Gross has endowed the Gershoff Symposium. It was just supported on current use, and now it's been endowed. Erwin Heller has given a multi-year commitment for public impact, and many other things. We've had great giving participation. It's really important when we go to potential donors, whether it's individuals or foundations or corporations, and ask for funds. They often ask, well, how do your own internal folks give? It's actually really important because it shows the enthusiasm. And so 100% of our board of advisors, 100% of our alumni association executive council, and about 60% of our faculty actually gave to the school this last year. So that's wonderful. Any giving is important. And any students graduating this year? Oh, so all the second years are not here. Maybe there's exams. So these are all first years. So, the class gift is also incredibly important. We want to try to get the class gift up to 100% participation, whatever amount you give. So I think it's incredibly important. And so that's the conclusion of the update. I want to thank Ed Kleifkin for really leading our kind of implementation of the strategic plan. I want to thank Annie Devane and her team for actually working on these slides, and Ed Kleifkin, Ed Saltzman and Yelena Naumova as the other academic deans, and all the faculty and staff and everybody who gave input to this over time. So So this is kind of what we're working on, to try to implement your vision that you gave us with the strategic plan, and work on all of these things. And I think we've made great progress in 11 months, and continue to be excited about the coming year. So be happy to address any questions or discussion. Thanks for the clap, Patrick. I was kidding. I was kidding. Okay, and this is being live streamed, so if people online have questions, they can be typed in, and Annie is monitoring. Yeah.
What was the feedback from the entrepreneurship advisors after the event last week?
Yeah, so the entrepreneurship advisors were really, really enthusiastic about the potential for nutrition innovation. They see innovation as kind of the future of nutrition, and many of them did not know the school very well, and so getting to know our multidisciplinary approach, getting to know how important translation is in our work, getting to know how rigorous we are in kind of the science that we do, getting to know how fantastic our students are and our alums are, they were really, really excited. And so the potential to link those people to students and workshops, to link to their networks for fundraising, I think is really tremendous. Yeah. And we'll use the microphone because of people live streaming.
Thank you, Derry. That was really informative, very clear, and exciting. On the campaign, now that we're about to go live with the, not the silent, but the loud part of the campaign, are there any things you would want to tell the students and faculty and everyone, basically, what role they should play, what role they can be expected to play? How do we get involved?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the question is about getting involved in the campaign. So yeah, the way campaigns work is, you have a group of existing people who you know will be likely to give to the school in different ways because of their history and their connections to the school. And then you try to develop and build new relationships with individuals, corporations, or foundations who might give to the school. And then you want to match their interests, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are giving. You want to match their interests to your priorities. And so, one of the positives and downsides of our school is our breadth. So we can't have one message, right? We want to address hunger, and that's it, right? It just doesn't work for our school. Our strength is our multidisciplinary approach, and that means from bench science to communication to food systems, we have all these priorities. So one of the major things for faculty and students and staff to do is to help us when we have visitors, either corporations or foundations or people, to meet with them and kind of talk about what they're doing. We're never really sure exactly what's going to strike them. And we have some idea, and so we help line up people. But that excites them and gets them interested. And so students may be asked to be involved in events and visits and so forth. That's the first thing. The second thing is to think about within our school priorities is what would you actually want to do if you got funds. And so one of the things that often happens, and I've noticed over the last couple of years, is somebody comes and says, wow, I really like that area, and this is really exciting. What do you want to do, and how much money do you need to do it, right? And we don't have the answer to that question, and I'm not going to make up the answer to that question. If someone comes and says, Patrick, I really, really like your work that you're doing in Nepal, I want to support it. Right? I can't give them the answer of what you would need to expand their work. So I think all the faculty in particular, but also students who are interested in student activities, should think of as concrete as possible within our strategic plan and within our campaign priorities, what are things that you would do with $50,000? What are things you would do with $200,000? What are things you would do with $1 million? And map that out a little bit. And students would probably have a different set of things they would do with that money. And map that out a little bit to help us so that when someone does come back to us, we have a concrete offer. And so I guess the summary of my comments would be that people often think of fundraising as a top-down approach where I go to somebody and say, I want you to fund this. That's not at all how it works. It's totally bottom-up. So my role is to identify people, identify new people, bring them to the school, get them excited, and match them to somebody. I'm just a matchmaker. And so once I've made the match, you guys have to be the drivers of what happens with that match, with our great advancement team helping. And so I think that you know, that, and I think the other thing I should say for everyone is to really work on our public, all our faculty and students and staff to really work on our public recognition. So one of the things that's going to help us in the campaign is public recognition, right? Public recognition for our achievements. And so faculty should be writing op-eds. They should be writing for the conversation. They should be doing what they can to talk to media. Students should be thinking about, sending tweets about cool stuff at the school and things that they like. And you know, it's all about networking in the modern day, and it's all online. And so if it's not online, it doesn't exist. And so if there's stuff that you think are excited about the school, blog about it, write about it, put it online. And there's I can't overemphasize how important that is. Yeah. And Annie Devane would probably, or our advancement would probably be happy to help link people to the venues that they could do those things in. Yeah, Annie gave a thumbs up. Greg or Jerry, as our newest faculty, do you have any questions? I don't know, you can say no, but.
No, not a question, but just, you know, a remarkable job. In fact, just last week, the CDC has. Just last week, CDC has an obesity research program, NOPRIN, that invited me to speak specifically on the strategic plan here, and the leaders there had really excited about the topics that we have here, particularly the Public Impact Initiative and how we're working on that. So it is being noticed and really extraordinary work. So congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Glad to be part of it.
Thank you, Jerry. And I was at this conference yesterday. The Milken Institute had a closed conference, about 700 people on health, the future of health in DC, with really leaders from policy and politics and industry talking about the future of health. And 70% of the discussion was about food, right? It always came back to food. And whoever it was up there in the panels, whoever was talking, it almost always came back to food, except for the FDA commissioner, Scott Gottlieb, didn't mention food. But I've heard he has in the past, so I won't hold that against him. I heard he has talked about food in the past. But it all came back to food. And so I think our mission, to generate the trusted science, generate the future leaders for the food system, and to have public impact is so relevant right now, and everybody gets it. And so we should really be, a major wheel, whether it's science, education, or translation, to make a difference. And I think the country and the world is really ready for this moment. So I think it's really perfect timing for us. Great. Well, we will. I think we have a few more minutes for questions. There's an exam in here, so we want to get out on time. Other questions from students? Not for us, though. Yeah, not for us. Not exam. Yeah.
So my question is about tracking these metrics, and I think there might be. Oh, thank you. Could you talk a little bit about, aside from this forum, how we'll be tracking the achievements and accomplishments?
Yeah. So we are now finalizing kind of the very concrete activities and the metrics associated with those activities for each of the 14 goals that go under the eight aims. And so some of those are more developed, some of those are less developed, but all of them are being worked on. Annie is also preparing an annual report, which will go over all of this. I don't know when that's going to be finalized. This calendar year, right?
Yeah, definitely before Thanksgiving.
Before Thanksgiving. So we will have online we're not going to print hard copies of them, but we'll have online a full report that will also refresh every year, and I've seen the drafts of it. It really is quite good. So yeah, we want to have concrete objectives and concrete metrics, and we're working on all that, and Ed Kleifkin is really organizing that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a question back there.
I hope this isn't outside the scope of strategic planning, but I am curious about how, the federal funding for things that usually go on here and lack thereof, and also I know there was recently this memo, I don't know from what group, but in the federal government saying obesity isn't a priority and how that might affect any of these activities.
Oh, I didn't see that memo. Interesting. That's not what we heard last night at the Future of Health Summit. I thought, so very relevant, yeah. So I think that NIH's budget has not gone down. There's strong support in Congress for it, and with the Cancer Moonshot, they have a little bit of extra funding. They don't have a ton of funding for nutrition, but they have sort of heard this. So Francis Collins was at this event yesterday, and he heard everybody talking about food. He's the director of NIH, and so I think they know food is important. So I'm very optimistic that there's at least reasonable funding in NIH. USDA is also a good source for federal funding, and USAID. USAID is probably the one that was most on the chopping block, but I think that the congressional budget didn't, slash USAID as much as the Trump administration wanted. The HNRCA in Trump's budget was zeroed out, so it was zeroed out, but Congress strongly vetoed that and actually put in language that we actually want to know why you would even propose such a crazy thing, paraphrasing. They actually wanted to get an answer from why would you propose closing a successful, not just ours, but 3 successful university human nutrition research centers. So I think everybody gets how important research is, and it's a bipartisan issue. The real challenge federally is that there was a great graph yesterday that I got to get a copy of it. If you look at our total spending over the last 20 or 30 years, if you adjust for inflation, it's relative. Total government spending is pretty flat. And if you look at Social Security spending, adjusting for inflation, it's actually still pretty flat because we haven't really hit the boom. And so really what's happened is healthcare spending has, as a proportion of everything else, has tripled, and everything else has gotten crunched. And so that's why I think food is medicine, and talking about why food is so important for health is the most important, crucial thing. The biggest thing crushing the federal budget and state budgets is healthcare. So we should get people to understand that food is crucial to addressing that. Jeff, do you want to ask a question as an HNRCA-based faculty member? We haven't had a HNRCA perspective. Do you feel like we've included the views and priorities of HNRCA-based faculty?
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, short and sweet. Okay, great. So on that note, thank you very much, and thank you again for coming.